Hello everybody and welcome to another train simulator video. Today we shall be taking the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 321 EMU from Braintree to Liverpool Street. So first thing we need to do is we're going to take off the pause menu and we are going to enter the rear cab of the train and turn on the tail lights. Open the doors by pressing T and turn on the passenger saloon lights by pressing O. Next we are going to jump into the front cab of the train and we are going to put the train into gear by pressing S. Cancel the AWS by pressing Q. The next thing we need to do is, because it's still dark outside, dark at ground level, we need to turn on the headlights into the nighttime position by pressing and holding H. And the next thing we need to do is we need to put the train's destination blind onto Liverpool Street, which is 5500, and enter. Again, there we go. Mouse is a bit sticky. And the next thing we need to do is to enable the guard by pressing Control Shift and R, because the guard will be. We do have a guard with us as far as Witham. And the final thing we need to do is turn off our driver reminder appliance by pressing F. And cancel the vigilance device by pressing E. In fact, I should knock the train into neutral gear so that it doesn't sound whilst we're still waiting at the station. So this is the final scenario that we need to do in the Class 321 pack. And I have to say I have enjoyed making this series of videos. So it's been a nice little project to do in my spare time. And now that we've been given the ready to depart signal from the guards, we can now set off on our journey to Liverpool Street. The starting speed limit is 15 miles an hour, and our first intermediate stop is Braintree Freeport. And our speed limit has raised up to 35 miles an hour. So we're just going to bring the power up. Cut the power off now, and we are just about going to start now braking for our first stop in this scenario, which is Braintree Freeport. So we are looking for the 4-car stop sign, which is right down at the end of the platform. In fact, there is actually no 4-car stop sign at this station. It's just an S sign. Whoops. Just knocked the train into emergency, but there we are. We've come to a nice stop at our first station. So we'll just check and see that all the doors are open, and indeed they are, which is good. Just get a nice external shot of the train leaving the station. Departing Braintree Freeport, the speed limit has since raised to 50 miles an hour, and our next stop will be Cressing. We are now on final approach to Cressing, so I'm just going to start braking now. Put the train into a step 2 brake application. I've just released the brakes. I tend to enter platforms at no faster than 30 miles an hour. And if they are short of, if the platforms are shorter than no faster than 20. And I think we have to go down to the end of the platform. No, we don't. We've just slightly overshot the forecast stop sign there. But the main thing is that all of the carriages are in the platform. And I think all of them are open. In fact, I'm not too sure about the first carriage. Oh no, they are open. I just had the illusion that they were closed then. Because sometimes in trains, it depends on the route. The platforms are I think it's the way that the platform markers are either placed or programmed within the route itself. Sometimes doors won't open. So departing Cressing, our next stop will be White Notley, which is in about just over a mile. Just going to knock the power down now as we approach our 50 limit. And as we are on final approach to Cressing now, I'm going to bring the train down into a step 2 brake application to make sure that we are down to 30 miles an hour. Just take off the brakes because I don't want us losing too much speed. and we're looking out for the 4-car stop sign, which is right down near the end of towards the end of the platform. It's actually an S sign, and we've just, I think we might have overshot it slightly. Well, we haven't overshot it, but I don't think the front doors were open, given that we are too close to the end of the platform. But we have stopped at White Norley, so there's no real point in trying to move backwards just for the sake of opening all the doors. The only problem is that we won't get the signal from the guard to depart. It's just the way. It's just with the way that train sim works. So as we depart Cressing, we get a reminder that from Witham that we won't have a guard. So what we'll actually do now is we will press Control Shift and R and disable the guard and turn on driver only operation. So from Witham we will be closing the doors manually. So Witham station is around 2 miles away. I'm sure that most of you might be aware that the Class 321s have a nickname. They are affectionately known as Dusty Bins because they are named after. The nickname came about from the game show, from a character out of a television game show called Dusty Bin. The name of which game show was called 321. So that's where the Class 321 EMUs get their nicknames from. And there are a couple of other trains with famous nicknames dreamed up by train enthusiasts. The Class 142s, the Pacers, are known as the Nodding Donkeys, or the Kangaroos, or the Skippers. Due to their very bouncy ride, because they're only on a twin axle configuration. And we also have the Class 350 and 450-0 EMU units. They're sometimes referred to as UFOs because of their distinctive sound from the traction motor. And Class 153 single units are sometimes referred to as dog boxes. So we're now actually on our final approach to Witham, and we actually have to slow the train down now to 10 miles an hour because of a tight curve taking us onto the Great Eastern Main Line. and we will be routed into platform 4 at Witham. Once again, there is no Morpeth board for this 10 mph speed restriction, which is a little bit disconcerting, especially when you're driving without the HUD. But I suppose by then, if you're driving without the HUD, you would be familiar with the route anyway. I am trying to learn to drive without the HUD, but the problem is I just don't really have the time, especially with like big routes like the Great Eastern Main Line. But then again, I've driven it so much now, I should really know the route off by heart. But I am trying. I'm trying to do drive without the HUD on the South London network at the moment, because the speed restriction isn't that big. The speed limits, the maximum speed you'd only get up there is 60 mph, and the stations are actually the distance between the stations is very short as well. And it's easier to find braking point. I think it's easier to find. I don't know. It's different for different people, but I think it's easier to find braking points on the South London network. The Great Eastern Main Line is bi-directionally signalled, but the signals that have been provided in this route by Dovetail Games, I don't think they're the right type of signals that are actually used. So there is no stop, for some reason there is no stop sign at Witham, so we're just going to stop reasonably close to the end of the platform so that we can just see our station starting aspect. Stop nicely down here. So we're just going to open the doors now, let the passengers and the guard off. Class 66, where the container train is just passing through the station. And our station starter is just cleared to a green aspect. So we will now. So we should have a clear run out of Witham Station. So we haven't got long to wait here. Just going to move the cab camera back a bit so we can see the door interlock light illuminating, so that we know that the doors have closed safely. So I'll just take off the HUD so we can see it properly. In fact, I'll put it back on. There we are. Just so that we don't exceed our dwell times. I think you can set up a visual alert that tells you when your door duty, when your platform duties are complete. You can then close the doors. I know that's automatic on the class 319 sound pack, because that sound pack implements DOO as an added bonus, which is nice. And also recently on the class 303 sound pack, they've added AP added driver only operation to that unit as a bonus feature. So the speed limit is now 100 miles an hour. This will be our maximum achievable speed for the journey, and also the maximum permitted speed on the Class 321. So our next station will be Hatfield and Peverel in about 2 miles time. After Hatfield and Peverel, we are calling at Chelmsford, Shenfield, Stratford and Liverpool Street. So now that we are on fast approach to Hatfield and Peverel, we're going to start slowing the train down. I've put into a step 1 brake application, and now going into step 2. And I'm going to go into full service just to make sure that we get down to at least 30 miles an hour. Going to take the brakes off now so we don't end up stopping too early. And we are looking for the 4-car stop sign. There is no clear stop sign other than the S sign right at the end of the platform. So we're just going to open the doors now, let the passengers off. So platform duties complete. It actually might help if we put the train back into forward gear. Our next station stop will be Chelmsford, and our speed limit is still 100 mph. So we've got about 6 miles to go to Chelmsford. Looking at that. So as we're driving along to Chelmsford, I'll probably talk about what my favourite scenario is from this pack, what is my least favourite. I think my favourite of the 8 scenarios that come with this pack, I think my favourite has to be the scenario where you take the train from Ipswich all the way through to Liverpool Street, and the track circuit failure forces you onto the slow lines into London. And we've actually just got a reminder here that because of the busy nature of the scenario, we have to save and reboot just to minimise the chance of a crash. But I think we should be okay. So, because I think this scenario is fairly stable. So, but going back to my favourite scenario, it's the one where you take the train from Ipswich to Liverpool Street and you get forced onto the slow lines into London. I like that because of the added variety, and the AI is very realistic on that scenario. My least favourite scenario from this pack is the East Coast mainline scenario from Welwyn Garden City to King's Cross. It's just purely because of the tight timetable. I don't think you can possibly get to, especially Finsbury Park. You get a very tight. There's a very tight slot to fill there, and I just don't think you can physically get to Finsbury Park on time, which is why I've always been failing that scenario each time I've played it. Probably might have to drive a little bit, might involve a little, if I wanted to clear that scenario, probably might involve a little bit of speeding, which is something I want to try and avoid, especially in career scenarios when you're threatened with losing an industry like a very large amount of points. But then again, I'm not really that fussed about career scenarios now, because all they do is they just pad out the achievements at the pointless Steam achievements, which don't really do anything to in-game experience of a sim. It's not really. This shouldn't really. I don't think Train Simulator should be treated as a video game. It should be treated like a simulator. The clue is in the title, so to say. So we've just got a warning. Well, we're getting 2 warnings now. Our first warning was for a speed drop to 85 miles an hour, but we've now just had another warning of a speed drop to 60 miles an hour. So we're going to aim to slow down for that 60 instead of the 85, because the 2 speed limits are quite close together. But I'm just going to take the brakes off. We are slowing down a little bit too fast, but at least we're below 85. So I'm going to brake down again to 60. And we're just going to coast down a little bit now. In fact, I'm just going to start bringing on the brakes now. Just a step 1 brake application. And into step 2. And that's brought our speed down nicely to 30 miles an hour, so I'm just going to take the speed off and let the train roll in. And we are looking for the forecast stop sign once again. which is just slightly partially obscured by the station building. I think it's just after this canopy. Yeah, there we go. I think we've actually stopped at the 8-car stop sign. I'm not too sure. I'll just check now. Just take the train out of gear. Oh no, we've just stopped just outside the 4-car stop marker. So just see if all the doors have opened. So departing Chelmsford, our starting speed limit is 60 miles an hour, and our next station stop is Shenfield, which is in about 9 miles time. And our speed limit has now increased to 85 miles an hour. Going to knock the power off now that we've reached 85 miles an hour. Just going to knock it down into step 2, and that should hold us around 85. Seeing as we're just travelling over a relatively flat gradient, flat land at the moment. going to bring the power back up a bit, just so I can get back up to 85 mph. Just got to knock us back down into step 2. We're now passing through Ingatstone Station. So we've now got warning of a speed reduction to 75 miles an hour, so I'm just going to bring the power off now. So I'm just going to let the train coast, and that should bring us down to 75 in time, but we're going to have to start thinking about braking soon anyway, because we are fast approaching our next stop at Shenfield. So I'm going to start bringing the speed down now as we approach our next stop. We've just got a double yellow coming into Shenfield. We've brought the train down into a full service brake application to bring our speed right down. And I'm just going to release the brakes now. And we now must prepare to oh no, we've got a double amber. I thought we had a single yellow there, but we've got a double amber. I was expecting Shenfield station starter to be at danger. Can't see any visible markers, so I'm just going to stop about here. I think all of our carriages are in the platform anyway, so there we go. So quite a busy scene at Shenfield at the moment, with plenty of train movements. I believe Shenfield is quite a good station to do train spotting sessions, so it's one of the stations on my to-do list next time I'm in the London area. So I hope, because I'm still yet to get some Great Eastern stuff. So the perfect place to get all my 321s, 315s, 360s, Class 90s, and also possibly the freight movements as well. I don't know, but some freight trains tend to run as and when they are required, especially around my area of the country. So departing Shenfield, our next stop will be Stratford in about 16, that's 16 miles. So it's kind of hard to tell because I've got a high resolution in the on the screen, and the I've got the game set to a high resolution, and the numbers are a tad small. Sat quite far away from my screen, so sometimes I have to squint my eye. To squint my eyes when I'm playing the game, just to check for mileage between stations. So our speed limit is fastly rose up to 90 miles an hour. So we are running pretty much at this speed now all the way into Liverpool Street. Going to cut the power to the train now as we are at 90 miles an hour. I'm just going to apply a slight amount of braking just to keep the train speed down, as we are on a downhill gradient of about 1 in 100. And as we get closer to London, the gaps between the signals get closer. Speeding a little bit now, so I'm just going to bring the speed down again. More interested in the scenery rather than the speed at the moment. Just apologies for the radio silence passing through these stations, because I just can't think of the station these station names off the top of my head, but the other stations like further out of London I'm very familiar with, because we've been passing through those quite a lot. They're quite remember to me that they're quite easy to remember. But I think the last station was actually Gideon Park, and we are actually passing the Gideon Park carriage sidings now, and we are now just about to pass through Romford Station. So I'm just going to bring the train speed back up as the gradient has levelled out now, and we are on flat land. Oh, this is Gideon Park. Can't remember now. And if it sounded like I knew them all in the previous videos, that's because I was I was narrating from a script, doing the narration post-recording footage. Just goes to show you my knowledge of suburban stations on the Great Eastern. But this is Romford Station, terminus of the Upminster Shuttle. I think it's just the look and the layout of the stations that helps me distinguish them quite easily. So I apologise for the lag that we are getting at the moment. It's just because we're getting further into the central London. As we get closer to London, the lag starts to intensify, and it's also just because I've also got a load of processes running on in the background to enable me to capture the footage and capture the narration. So we're now passing through Ilford Depot, just past Ilford Depot, and we're now just about to pass through Ilford Station. the Great Eastern Main Line is actually quite a demanding route on the graphics, so which is why AP recommend that you turn down the graphic settings on these scenarios in particular, just because of how much AI is in. So I dread to think what's going to happen when the Class 313 package, Class 313 and Class 315 pack is released, because you've pretty much then covered for the Great Eastern Main Line in terms of rolling stock. So I don't think the simulator might die after that. So I'm just going to bring the train down into a full service brake application. Just expecting a red signal. Yeah. Especially as we zoom in, there is actually a train in front of us. You probably can't see it. But it was just, you could just make it out. In fact, our signal is just cleared to a single yellow. So we can now accelerate a little bit more, but we now must expect the station started to be at danger, so we won't be speeding up too much. So I'm just actually going to cut the power to the train now for at 30 miles an hour, just to give us enough stopping time. And the station starter at Maryland is at danger, so we need to bring the train down to a stop. But I don't actually, this time I don't think we need to tab this signal in the scenario that involves you driving from Ipswich to Liverpool Street. You do actually have to tab the signal because for some reason the signal is buggy. And although there are no conflicting even though there's no conflicting movements, you have to still tab the signal for you to let it through. So in fact, we're just going to check the map, and there is a train. Yeah, there is a train in front of us, so hopefully that should clear when that train gets moving. So I'll just take the train out of gear and turn on the DRA. That train hasn't moved yet because I think there's a conflicting move in front of it. So now might be a good time just to save the scenario briefly. Might have to reboot it here. Just tab it. That's still denied. So. And luckily enough, our signal has cleared. I was worried I might have to reboot the scenario there, given that we were given the warning, but because I'm doing this live, it's something I want to try and avoid. I'm just going to bring the train down to a stop now at Stratford. Just trying to look out for the forecast stop sign, which I think is just about actually here with the 8-car stop sign. So here we are at Shenfield. We stopped at all of our stations on there correctly, which is good. So I have actually played through this scenario before, just to give me an idea of what to expect, but it has been a long time since I've last played this. So I've already got the green tick on the scenario list for this one. For some reason, alright, I was worried then my doors hadn't closed, but they have, so we can now depart for our final station stop at Liverpool Street, which is an approximately 3 miles away. So departing Stratford, our speed limit is 80 miles an hour. You can see the Olympic Park just to the right of us. So we've just got warning of the upcoming approach to a 60 mile an hour limit, so I'm just going to slow the train right down. Just take the brakes off now. We have got warning of a further speed reduction to 40 miles an hour. So we're just going to bring the train speed down now. and this is where we have to watch the train speed because we are now on a sharp descent down into Liverpool Street. Oops, and I've just put the emergency brake on there. My mistake. So I pressed the wrong button there. I thought I pressed the release button, but obviously I didn't. Whoopsie daisy. No, I've just taken the train out of gear and put it back into gear. So just losing my concentration there for a second. Bethnal Green station is on the right hand side, totally separate from the Central Line tube station of the same name, though I do believe that they are reasonably convenient, within a reasonably convenient walking space of each other. Sadly, the Central Line station will be associated with the disaster that occurred during the Second World War when an alarm sounded, and in the rush, in the huge rush of people to escape the bombs, a woman tripped and fell down the stairs, and and that accident caused a crush of people to be. And that incident caused a lot of people to get crushed in all the panic. So I've just brought my speed down a little bit too hard there, but we've now got a speed reduction to 30 miles an hour. So we're just going to bring the speed back up again. And after the signal, there's a further speed reduction to 15 miles an hour, which is a blanket speed restriction across the vicinity of Liverpool Street station. Full service brake application on, just to make sure we're down to 15. And we've got a clear road ahead into Liverpool Street platform 8. So Liverpool Street is a major transport hub, provides connection to London Underground Central Line and also the combined service of the Metropolitan, Hammersmith and City and Circle lines. And it's also the terminus of services from the London Overground, West Anglian branches, Chingford, etc. And also the railhead for the Stansted Airport Express. So we are terminating in the quite appropriately in the oldest part of Liverpool Street station in the original set of platforms. In the late 1980s, Liverpool Street station got redeveloped and added a further 5 new platforms to cope with extra capacity. And I'm just going to bring us into a nice smooth stop just about here. So I'm just going to open the doors, and that is the end of our scenario. So I'm just going to take the train out of gear and turn off the headlights. and turn off the turn on the tail lights and turn off the destination blind. So yeah, this is the final scenario in our look at the scenarios that come with the Class 321 pack. So I have to say I've thoroughly enjoyed making this series of videos, and I'd just like to say, if you have watched them all the way through, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. And my next train simulator video, I'm hoping to be the North London line review. I've finished the script. Write it, as far as writing it, I've finished writing it, and I've started gathering scraps of footage. So it's just a case of doing the narration and getting the other scenarios, getting the other bits of footage that I need. But apart from that, I'm just going to take a small break away from the train simulator series for the time being, because there are other videos from trips out. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you'll know that I go out to different places and I take my camcorder with me, and I just film the day's events. I've got the Vintage Bus Rally at Kirkby Stephen to upload. And also this weekend, at the time of recording, I will be going to Middlesbrough for another Vintage Bus Rally. So I will be uploading videos from those places in the meantime, and I've also still got some video from Manchester to upload as well. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and take care.